Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are watching. My name is Sean Driver, and this is the Red Horde. Going to spend some time today talking about a subject that really is one that I know little about and learning and trying to get caught up on, and that is the transfer market system. How things operate in England. And, there's a number of reviews out there. There's a number of discussions about potential people coming in. Here's one thing I've started to learn about trying to follow who's going to be transferred, where the rumors are coming from, is really nobody knows anything. And I say that because what we would anticipate in North American markets is somebody's connected on Twitter. And I don't know where they get their stories. I don't know how they get the leads and other people don't get the leads. But usually before somebody ends up becoming subject to a trade or there's a free agent signing or something's happening, there's a rumor, it's followed, it's that person's got some traction, some insight, and really following Twitter, following the buzz, following the posts that are out on Google search, you get nothing but madness and speculation. So I wanted to have a look at things. Look, when you assess the club, you look at the people who at least I've come to respect on Twitter who talk about transfers and what Wrexham's needs are. Is there's really two positions that come up consistently, and that is somebody sort of as cover in the midfield and potentially a left-footed defensive back on the left side. So, there's been rumors. Alfie May's been speculated to split from one League One club and move over to Charlton. 29-year-old striker, 20 goals, 3 assists in League One, 8 seasons sort of bouncing around back and forth between League One and League Two. His contract expires next year, so I'm anticipating there's a transfer fee as a consequence of that. Not really something I would be interested in for Wrexham. I think that's not an area that we have a need for positionally. I don't think he brings much value in addition to what we already have there based on just assessing comparable numbers. So I'm going to take a pass there on Alfie. Another player who's been speculated about is Max Power. Again, not really that interested. Plays midfield, so there's positionally some synergy there as to what our needs are. But 1 goal last season in the championship. Well, sure, he had 39 games there, mostly played in League One. He did play for Parkinson at Sunderland, but I just don't see a 29-year-old player is what we're really trying to build there, and I'll explain why as I go through one of the targets that I've identified anyway. Another player that's been rumored to be coming to Wrexham, Curtis Main. For me, that's a resounding no. 30 years of age, 6 of the last 7 seasons in the Scottish Premier League. The Premiership, he had a cup of coffee in League One with Shrewsbury Town, a centre forward. So striker, you're anticipating some output. 7 goals, 5 assists last season. Really, when you go through his entire stats, you've got 364 games with 53 goals as far as his most recent output goes. Not really where I'm at, but all of this comes about too, and part of what I was considering is there's also rumors that Tom O'Connor could potentially be out of Wrexham. Again, he's signed through till the end of the 25 season, so there's potential there that there could be a transfer fee that's coming inbound to Wrexham if he ends up moving. So there may be some positives, although I like O'Connor in the midfield, and it's an area where we have needs, but it does make you think about what potentially could be out there. Liam Roberts on YouTube did an assessment of 5 potential players. Go and check out that. I'll put the link down below. I agreed with 4 out of 5 of them. Different way of looking at things, more looking for immediate impact on the club, on the field, not really what I was looking for. And so here's the issue that I have as a North American fan. Don't know all the players. There's a number of them that are out there. And so the process is still not unlike what we would do in North America, and that's comparable numbers with other players that are out there and assessing how they would fit with the club. So what does it mean for Wrexham? Well, stories are that we have an exceptional locker room. So you're looking for somebody that's going to fit in there. No prima donnas, hardworking, quality group, sort of blue collar. What you would expect from Wrexham City itself is just get stuck in, get job done. And that's, Ben Foster, Fozzie's been talking about that since the outset, is the locker room's great. Robin Wright have been saying the same thing. So I kind of was classing things into 2 areas. We know we need a midfielder, a left-footed defensive back. And so you assess, is there an older player out there who may still have some length in their game, that you can find that some defined leadership, or can you find a young player who maybe hasn't got set yet? And that's going to be the focus of the rest of this video. Somebody who hasn't figured out the transition from the academy system into a pro career, haven't found their home where their skills could be employed. So selfishly, I tried to find a Canadian first. No success there. But then I turned to Wales and thought, is there somebody who I could find who is a young player who has good stock, all the tools, maybe not the toolbox, but would find a place in Wrexham. And I came across a name that was very interesting to me. Robbie Burton, 23 years old, was born in Gravesend in Kent, which is the southeast portion of England, but he has a Welsh grandfather, and as a consequence, he played for Wales, U16, U17, U19, U21. There was people talking on social media years ago about him potentially being with the national club. Some even suggested the captain of the team. So he was developed in Arsenal's academy system. He was actually a captain and wore the armband there for a time. And then he signed with Dynamo Zagreb in Croatia. That's the perennial powerhouse. Reported £800,000 transfer as an academy player. And then he went there for a number of seasons. He ended his contract in January mutually. And so there's always maybe some red flags that come up with that issue. What was the problem? What was going on? And he didn't really get stuck in Croatia. He 14 games with them over 3 seasons in the top league. He had 10 games in the second division in Croatia. And then he was loaned out for the first half of this season in the Irish Premier League with the Sligo Rovers. But the immediate reports after he mutually agreed to terminate his contract was to look for a potential signing back in England. And immediately, Twitter was abuzz. You can go back to the January comments, and Huddersfield Town, a team near the bottom of the championship, was looking for somebody. Portsmouth, which was a top third of League One, was looking. Barnsley, who just lost out to Sheffield Wednesday recently about obtaining promotion out of League One, they were all looking at him, and there seemed to be some rumbling. So there's some stock there. And you read the reports, footballleagueworld.co.uk had some comments, and they talked about him being a tidy footballer, that he would probably fit into most teams, that he seemed to have the qualities to ply his trade both on the field and off the field. And as soon as you hear those sorts of discussions, recognizing again a national team player who wore a captain armband for Arsenal in Premier League 2, you think this is probably a young kid who's got his head screwed on straight, or did at one point in time. It sounds like he had all of the tools. He just hasn't transitioned. That's a 23-year-old who, in the right locker room, in the right circumstances, could end up being a star, at least just standing as an objective observer and trying to assess what's going on. So I see that there are the cons. Again, only 38 games since 2019. 28 of them in the top division in Croatia or Ireland and in Sligo, 10 in the second division in Croatia. He did have 2 UEFA Europa League games as well with Zagreb. So not a lot of game time, but some quality stuff. And I just think that a right-footed midfielder could be an asset. You put him with Elliot Lee or anybody to provide cover. He's going to learn the game. There's some advantages there. One other factor to consider is the discussions that have been going through from Rob anyway, as far as sustainability. And by that, it means while Wrexham has the capacity because of its income earnings, it's what the club has as a turnover to go out and to grab, substantive players and pay for a large salary. And while it has the capacity, especially with another £1.1 million coming from the EFL this season, to go out and to load up, as it were, there's something to be said about frugal acquisitions and provident acquisitions. Those are the ones where you find somebody when they're young who has the tools, who can fit in and who can develop. The academy system's there for a reason, and when Wrexham doesn't have an academy yet set up, you've got to come up with some creative solutions to be able to fill your roster with good young talent. You look at the numbers here and you think, I don't know, I feel like this is a player, or the type of player anyway, who the club should be looking at. Put a couple of these young guys on who are in that transition phase, and hope you get somebody on the cheap who ends up becoming a powerhouse down the road. Tell me I'm wrong. I've been wrong before, but at least this was a fun one to talk about. Until next time, I'm Sean Driver, and this is the Red Horde.